Welcome to another episode here of the REQBs with your host, Paul Scott. That's me, and Jim Archidiniakanoko in the Pocono.
Oh!
From Del Valley. Next move over here on your left, Jim Del Valley on your right. Man, we got a lot of good stuff. We went long last week. We're gonna move and groove a little bit this time. We're gonna get things rolling. We have got a lot to cover. Upset galore is what I'm talking about. I mean, when it makes me take my glasses off, but it is upsets everywhere. And then maybe some mediocre wins like you're talking about right there. Jim, what do you got going on? I see some new stuff behind you there. What is that frame behind you? What are we talking about there?
What's going on? What's funny when we got the countdown thing going on, I always think of the Robin Williams morning. Good morning, Robin Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam. That's
right.
How I feel when it gets me all fired up. So yeah, I'm actually in my office here at KW and Power. Down here in Delaware. Obviously I run a real estate team here, but this is my background setup, and this is actually a official fan Super Bowl ring from the
What
Eagles.
What is a fan Super Bowl ring?
So
I know nothing about that. I being a Washington fan all my life, I don't know much about fan rings. I thought only the players got one. Fans get one too?
Yeah, so apparently, I guess they have the Super Bowl ring for the players, which is the thousands of diamonds and all that stuff, and then I guess you can order a ring as a fan. It's not as elaborate as the players' ring, obviously, but it's still pretty
It's cubic
cool.
zirconia version, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little money making thing. So obviously, it has the Philly special. Good old Nick Foles holding the trophy, which we just recognized Nick Foles here. He just retired an Eagle.
Probably a good idea.
And, of course, I got my Smacker bat, KWSE style.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, speaking of KWSE style, for those of you that are new to the show and you're wondering who these two goofballs are, we are, top professionals in the real estate industry and complete amateurs, maybe less than amateurs when it comes to fantasy football and whatnot. We had a rough week of predictions, but I don't think we were alone in that. I think a lot of people lost a lot of money this week, a lot of pride. And then some of us gained a lot of pride this week in our favorite teams. So,
and I mean, we're the two top teams in the NFC East.
Well, what we try to do here basically is to have some fun with football, and the quarterback, and I would say for both of our favorite teams, are essential pieces to making the right moves happen and knowing when to go for it on fourth down and make the plays executed to their best ability. And that's what we try to do with real estate. We try to be that, that hallmark QB for folks. So about halfway in, after we've talked through a bunch of our fantasy football here and stuff, and just going around the league, we've always got a great next move of the week in real estate tip for you, and scattered throughout, just to make sure that you're getting some of what we really do tied in with what we do really bad, which is predicting football.
We did last week. It's a good thing we're in real estate and not full-time bookies, because we would have been out of business pretty quick.
We'd have been out of business. That's right. Well, anyway, let's jump to it. Some of the topics, some of the things that we're going to get to today. We have NFL upsets to talk about, upsides to talk about, real estate wise, finding some solutions if you're upside down in your house. Maybe you bought during COVID and paid 75 over, but you got to move and you need to know what to do about it. We'll hit on what to do about that and some of the best defensive and offensive moves that you can be making in your real estate with that as well. And then we're going to, obviously give you our top picks of a few games of the week. We're not going to do every game like we did last week. Took too long and we got it all wrong anyway, so it really didn't matter, right? Yep. But Yeah, let's talk about some upsets. Let's start with some of the obvious upsets. Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody predicted that one. I mean, we both said that Carolina basically stinks, and Andy Dalton is not the answer, and he proved us wrong.
Big Red stepped in there, taking out what was supposed to be one of the best quarterback picks of
I mean,
of the draft 2 years ago,
yeah,
and Chuba Hubbard, just took off as well, and all of a sudden Carolina's a team. What is going on?
I mean, if you told me that Andy Dalton would pass for over 300 yards for 3 touchdowns, I would have taken that bet. Like there was
In
no
his
way.
in his first game back in
Yeah,
nearly 2 years as a starter, in the
I thought he
NFL.
was out of the league. I didn't even realize he was on the
Yeah,
team
yeah,
until he came back. So, but hey, I
completely,
mean,
yeah,
it
completely
was shout
crazy
out
one
to the
there.
Panthers.
And seeing Bo Nix in Denver, I just didn't think that was going to be anything that happened. In fact, why don't you just go through how great we were on predicting upsets and
So,
wins last week? What was our record combined?
yeah, so obviously last week we went a little overboard. We went game by game, which we got a little too into it, but that's all right. We had
It was
fun with
week
it.
2. We were excited.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. So there was 15 games that we predicted. We were both 6-9.
Wow.
Yep,
Not
6
even. You know what I will take is that record is still better than the Commanders' record has been the last 2 years consecutively. So I'm still,
there
you
you go.
know,
And
doing
we
better
didn't
than the Ron Rivera era.
and we didn't predict we didn't do any better on the over unders either, and we were also 6-9. So
So yeah,
yes.
I mean, just tons of upsets. Did you have a favorite upset?
I for me, honestly, yeah. I really think, I know it wasn't on paper, but I'm going to talk about my Eagles beating the Saints.
Okay.
That would be my favorite upset. I mean, I told you last week that I thought the
Jim, who
Eagles
did you pick last
I
week to win that game?
I actually picked the Saints to win.
You went against your team.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought for sure that we both actually went Saints with the over, and we were both wrong on both sides. It was not a very high scoring game, but led by Saquon Barkley's 2 fourth quarter touchdowns and that huge catch by my man Dallas Goedert. The Eagles pulled it off. They pulled it off, which I thought for sure the Saints were going to blow them out. But I have a little confession about this game.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Real life confessions.
Yes. There's only probably 2 people that know this that know this about me today. So I'm going to reveal it here. So I had a long weekend with
It
softball.
was a long weekend.
But I was a little tired.
He was a little tired.
Got up at 5 a.m. both days, Saturday and Sunday. Got home in time to watch the Eagles. That first half was not very entertaining, and I fell asleep at halftime. And I woke up, and the Eagles had won.
No way.
Yeah, I actually thought I had a dream that the Eagles won. I turned it on right when it ended. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I did not watch the second half, and I replayed it and watched it. But
I was going to ask, did you replay it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did replay it. The good thing about YouTube TV, which they're not a sponsor by any means, is I can go back and watch the highlights. So I watched all the highlights, watched got on, and I mean, at halftime, I was ready to fire Nick Sirianni. I was ready to trade Jalen Hurts. And it was just that first half was a disaster. But this is what drives me nuts about this team is the obvious is run the ball, give it to Saquon, let him do it. And they do it in the second half, and they outscore the Saints there in the second half. So, great victory for the Eagles. We got Tampa Bay this week, which is not going to be a easy game, but we'll talk about that when we do the predictions.
So, it was interesting. The Washington game, everybody coming into it was hammer the rock, hammer the rock, hammer the rock. And for Eagles, hammer the rock, like you said with Saquon. It's interesting. I wonder if these teams, when 90% of the world is saying just run the ball, do they think the opposing team is doing the same thing? So they're like, we got to come out of the gate just keeping them guessing. And even if it doesn't work at first, at least they know that we're going to not just do the predictable. And I wonder if that's what happened, with that Eagles game. But I tell you what, I think Saquon Barkley is the real deal. I think that he has, the opportunity to have maybe the best running back. He may be the running back of the year this year, if he continues to go at things the way that he is. It's good to see
him.
Right
now, I believe he is, let me just double check, because as of Monday morning, I believe he's the leading rusher in the NFL. Yes, he is. He is number one with 351 yards rushing.
Who's right behind him? Lamar Jackson?
No, it's actually Jordan Mason with 300
San Francisco. Wow.
That's going to be interesting when McCaffrey comes back. It's now you got two running backs that are, legit.
I think what will end up happening there is anybody who's drafted either one of them in their fantasy leagues is probably looking at a split time there, mainly for McCaffrey's health. I think as you get into the playoffs, you'll probably see Jordan Mason drop off a little bit, but when you can lose a McCaffrey and end up with the second leading running back in the league as your backup, come on.
That's insane.
The 49ers just seem to have some of that aura back about them that was, made them so great even during the Montana era. Don't know that Purdy is Montana, but it's hard to hate on that guy. All he does is win.
He's the number 2 passing yard quarterback. So he's, I never expected him to be as good. When he came up, I'm like, is this really? He's the last pick in the draft.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our number 1 pick from a few years ago, Mr. Trevor Lawrence, just can't find the blind side of a barn on some passes, and then he looks like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread on others. Jacksonville is in deep trouble down there. They don't know what they got.
There's a lot of teams that are in deep trouble right now. We can say that for sure.
Yeah. Well, one that's not? The Washington Commanders. I'm picking that as my upset of the week, even though I did pick them to win that game, and I stuck with them because everybody was like, oh, Joe Burrow's going to come back. He needs a game. He needs to win so bad. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both back, and Washington's secondary is terrible. This is going to be a Bengals win for sure. The Commanders were actually had the largest spread of any game. They were just there. Nobody was giving them a chance to win. And instead, it was a coming out party for Jaden Daniels. And for the first time since RG3, Washington fans have a quarterback to cheer about. But one of the biggest differences is how humble this guy is. He's just he's smiling. He's looking like he's having fun, but he also can avoid getting destroyed. And that, of course, was something that RG3 definitely struggled with. So we're all pretty excited in Commanders land. I almost said down here, but just in case anyone's confused out there, I do live in Nashville. I've lived here for 19 years. And yes, I like the Titans, but I was born and bred. My grandfather took me to Washington Redskin games. You can't get the burgundy and gold out of the blood sometimes. So I'm staying true to where I came from.
I think you got a better the Washington team is definitely going to be a better team than your Tennessee teams this year, I believe.
Will Levis with back-to-back games on pick sixes does not help the Titans scenario. I love his passion for the game. He's just a bruiser. He just gets out there and wants to play hard football. I love all that, but we got to get him to calm down maybe a little bit on some of those efforts, and get him some targets. As much as it was exciting to have some new people come into the fold here at Calvin Ridley, and some others joined. Tony Pollard from the Cowboys, thought that was going to be a monstrous pickup. Been a lot of shared time in the backfield for the Titans there that really hasn't developed into. And I would say develop. I think they've got some good pieces there to go with, but they've got to move on. And speaking of moving on, what are our upsides of the week? Who do you see as somebody, a team that's trending up, a player that's trending up? So what are our watch out fors this week? Or the season, for that matter. We're 3 games in. We can start talking about for the season.
I think one of the upside teams that nobody's really talking about, I know we kind of mentioned them last week, but is the Steelers. I think after week 4, the Steelers are going to be 4-0. I don't.
Who are they playing this week?
They're playing the Colts.
The Colts.
I think they're going to beat the Colts. I think that's what I know. It's not one of our games we're picking, but I never thought the Steelers would be 4-0 after week 4. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, I mean, so much of the focus was on the quarterbacks. Is it going to be Russ? Is it going to be Fields? And that everybody kind of went under the radar on everything else that the Steelers do well.
Yeah.
Najee Harris, great back in there, and you got a monster in Watt on the end there that I think any team would be extremely happy to have. Neither one of our teams really have that defensive end that is a game record the way that he is. So
that Jalen Carter is looking awful good
he's getting there. He's getting there. I give it to you.
He's getting there. But no, I think that it'll be interesting this week too. Can our Cincinnati Bengals, which we know, shout out to Justin Bruce and his Bengals, who he hasn't really talked too much about this year. Can the Panthers beat them and Bengals start 0-4?
I'm going to go with yes. I am.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers bounce back. I think Andy Dalton, he's not usually a one and done quarterback. Now, again, it's been a while, but he can get you a couple consecutive wins. And going back to his former team, when everybody's looking at 2 dogs, I don't see how the Panthers.
So that's going to be my downside of the week. I think
your downside of the week.
I think the Bengals are going 0-4.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go with a team I'm putting a team on watch here that everyone needs to pay a little closer attention to, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. I think that, Sam Darnold, similar to Brock Purdy, can get in there and get the job done, but doesn't have to be a superstar to make the team, really, really work.
So are you saying that the Minnesota Vikings are going to go to Lambeau this week and beat the Packers and be 4-0?
100%. That is my side of the week.
All right.
Vikings going to take on, and Malik Willis's time. Yes, he did great. I'm sorry. We've witnessed enough here in Nashville to know that, I just don't trust Malik Willis yet in that system up there being so new. Now he did good, but I think that's because people studied other side of the Packers, not necessarily Malik, and did not expect him to be able to make some throws and do some things that he did. So yeah, that's going to be my upside pick. Y'all better watch out for these Vikings. They're nasty.
And you know what?
Their defense has scored more in fantasy than many other teams as well. So it's not just the offensive side of the ball on there. You got to look at how good their defense has been, and I think that's where we actually see 2 things in that one. Aaron Jones going back and showing the pack that they made a mistake getting rid of him. Justin Jefferson showing that he still owns them. And then the defense of the Purple People Eaters being resurrected in that game.
Yeah. Shout out. I'm going to get, kind of be a little serious on something here. Shout out to Green Bay Packer great Brett Favre, who just, announced that he has Parkinson's disease. So
I did not. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was on ESPN yesterday. I guess he was at a hearing in Congress and announced that he has Parkinson's. So shout out to Brett Favre. He's one of those QBs that you hated going against, but you couldn't. He was one of the best. Him and the Eagles had plenty of battles, in the NFC title.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out to Brett. Hopefully,
Will Levis actually reminds me a little bit of him. He never let the play die. He's going to hurt you sometimes with some interceptions, but always trying to look for the best play. Favre obviously had a lot of success with that in making some great plays in 3 different uniforms. But I think everybody remembers him in the pack, of course, just leading some monster teams and getting a Super Bowl for him up there. So
100%. So
very cool. Good.
So yes, we talked about obviously how terrible we did on our predictions.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cut it down this week. So we won't, we could be 0-6, we could be 6-0. We'll see. We're gonna pick 6 games this week. We're gonna
6 games this week. All right.
We're gonna
do it.
We're gonna start out with the Thursday night game, which tomorrow night. This one is, you and I have our mutual interest in rooting for the Giants here. Cowboys versus Giants in New York. Dallas is a 5.5 point favorite, over under 44.5. But if we could get a tie here, that'd be awesome. But I don't see that happening. Me personally, I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Giants in New York. As much as I'm going to be rooting for the Giants to win, but I think the Cowboys pull this out. I think they cover, and I think it's going to be the over. I'm going Cowboys over.
What are the lines? Give me the lines.
5.5 for the Cowboys.
What do you got?
5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
What's the over under?
Over under is 44.5.
I'm going to give you the under on that. And I hate it too, but I think the Cowboys go ahead and take this one. I don't know that there's enough consistency in New York. I do like their defense. I love Malik Neighbors. I think he's one of the bright spots, maybe rookie of the year candidate kind of situation there. And Singletary's a beast running that ball. I don't think it's going to be as easy of a game as Cowboy fans are hoping for. But I think America's team comes up with just enough to edge it out. It'll probably end up in an officiating situation where Dallas pays the refs and a bad call decides the game.
Or it comes down to our favorite, shout out to Nico, our favorite QB, Daniel Jones, doing a pick 6.
The pick 6. You know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Are you ready for a bold prediction on this game? My bold prediction is both pick 6s by both quarterbacks.
All right. I like it. And that's not – I don't know. I don't know if that's so bold, though, with those.
Yeah, fair enough.
But,
maybe it is.
But I will say, speaking of the Cowboys, we'll throw it in real quick while we're doing our predictions. I just was watching on the ESPN this morning, a lot of Belichick to the Cowboys rumors.
It's all rumors. It ain't happening. McCarthy.
I don't think he goes there. I don't think he wants to deal with Jerry Jones.
No.
Who does? So
I don't know. Jerry Jones wants to deal with Belichick,
That's true. That's true.
That could go both ways. What's our next game you got up for us?
Next game we will be doing, this would be the Sunday night game. We got Buffalo at Baltimore. Ravens are a 2.5 point favorite. Over and under 46.5. What do you got?
Oh, I'm going to take Baltimore in this one.
All right.
I know we got a lot of people just riding the Josh Allen train on that thing. But the Ravens are just hairs away from being great and from winning the tough games that they have lost. Uh, I I don't know if Derrick Henry can be stopped. I know we talked
Yeah.
about Saquon Barkley a lot, but Derrick Henry if there was anyone that wanted to make me a Titans fan, it was Derrick Henry. So them losing Derrick and him going up to Baltimore and having Lamar Jackson there, it's going to really depend on. So you've got two great tight ends for Baltimore. You've got an amazing running back, amazing quarterback, a little banged up O line, and some decent receivers up there, but no, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase types of that nature. No top 5 wideouts, but with Lamar, you don't really need those. You can play that short game and let him run. And when you're not running Henry, it's just a tough offense to stop. Their defense has to find a way to get back to being what people are used to seeing in Ravens football. That's been the thing that's been the issue for them all year.
Yeah.
What's the over again? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me again today.
46.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
Yep.
Ravens in the over.
All right. So I am actually one of those guys who are on the Josh Allen bandwagon.
Choo-choo.
I think I just think he's a great quarterback. If I could pick another QB in the league, he would probably be up there as someone I would love on my team. So I'm going Bills, and I'm gonna go the over as well.
Okay. Either way, we're getting that over. What's your next game we got on tap?
Next game, we are going to probably I think the worst game of the week, which is also the first Monday Night Football game. I am sure ESPN is, when they first put this on the books, I don't think they would realize how bad the Dolphins would be right now. So we got the Titans are traveling down to sunny Miami and face the Dolphins. Dolphins are only a 1-point favorite, and the line is, I believe, the lowest over under at 36.5. It is the lowest over under.
Wow.
So
I'll give you mine right off the bat, just because I want the Titans to do well. I do love the Titans as well, living here in Nashville. But there is no way that the Dolphins just tank on this. I'm picking Miami. It's Monday night. You have Tyreek Hill on Monday night, and you might be on the Josh Allen train, but I'm going to be on the A-Chain train. And I think that between the two, somebody's going to find Tyreek and make it happen. And Miami's defense is a good defense at the end of the day, and I don't know that the Titans have any offensive swagger, any offensive consistency or dependent. It really is play by play, very similar to what Jacksonville is dealing with, though. A great play followed up by bonehead play, and I'm going to take the over with the Dolphins.
All right. So I'm kind of on the same boat. I don't see the Titans coming down to Miami and beating them. I think the Titans are going to come down there and get a little indulged in the Miami Beach lifestyle and forget.
We're a landlocked state here in Nashville. We don't see beach very often. You might have a point
down there they're not used to. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins, but I'm going under. I think it's going to be like a 20-10 type game. Not so much. I think the defense does come and play, but I agree with you. I think the Dolphins do pull this one out.
Can you name the Dolphins' current quarterback going into this week?
You know what? I cannot right this second.
Yeah, me neither, because they don't know yet. And they actually brought up a third quarterback from the practice squad last week, and they had an injury on the field, and two is a ways away. It wouldn't surprise me. I know it's not a whole lot of the week left, but if we see some veteran out there coming to the Dolphins just before Monday night and getting them in by Friday, we may not even know the Dolphins starter until this weekend, and it may not be anyone on their current roster.
So I'm actually going to a bold prediction myself right now. This is my bold prediction of the week. The next quarterback for the Miami Dolphins this year will be Russell Wilson.
Okay. Russ down in sunny Miami, going coast to coast from Seattle. That's diagonal. You can't really get any further in between going all the way from, by way of Pittsburgh, of course, but he can't really count his time in Pittsburgh because it really hasn't had any.
Because I feel like it's the right move for both teams. Steelers don't need Russell Wilson. If they could get some, late round draft picks for him, and Miami needs, a veteran. And I'm sure they could probably get him cheap from the Steelers. So I think why not bring him in? Hopefully he can do enough for that offense to at least win some games. Because quite frankly, the AFC East is terrible right now.
Yeah, it is.
Except for the Buffalo Bills, obviously.
Right.
I don't, there's an opportunity there that, and the rest of the AFC really isn't that strong. Like there's a possibility that a wild card team could be a 500 team. There's a lot of 0-3s in the AFC right now. So
not too long ago, Washington made a playoff by having a losing record. So anything is possible.
You just never know. So I think Dolphins take the win and with the under this week.
Yeah. I like that prediction. I think there's got to be some movement by the end of this week. I'll be shocked if it's not a Russell Wilson. I think Bryce Young could even be a potential candidate for going down there. Similar game as Tua. Maybe he's just not been in the right system, and there's some coachability there. Don't know, but I think somebody who's at least had some league experience is going to get over there. I personally think I'm going to throw out another option and just so that I can say I said it here first, of someone who could end up in Miami as a potential starter, walk right in and know this former Washington Redskins coach that is now Miami Dolphins head coach. Taylor Heineke could be the next quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
I don't know about that one, but
come on. Come on.
I'm not sure about that.
Let's move on to the next game you got.
So we got the other Monday night game. They got 2 Monday nights this week. So we got the next Monday night game is the Seattle Seahawks going out to Detroit to face the Lions for the 8:15 Monday night football game. This should be a good game. You got Seahawks who are 3-0. The Lions are 2-1. I think it's going to be a tight game. Right now, the line is Lions got the favorite by 3.5, and the over under is 46.5. So I'm going to go out and really, I'm going Lions. I don't think they're on a cover. I can see them winning by like maybe a field goal, but I think the Lions are going to pull out the victory. I'm going to say they're not going to cover though. I'm going to say, and the over under, I'm going to go the over. I'm going Lions over.
Oh man, it's no fun when we pick it the same, but I'm going Lions over as well. I just don't think that the Lions, I don't think that you can keep Amon-Ra St. Brown from having less than 2 touchdowns in this game, and I think that's enough. I think they do cover the spread. That would be the only difference there. I think this is going to be Seattle getting their first loss,
and I really hope so for for Dan Campbell's sake, because he already had to move once. We don't need him to move.
We don't need him to move again, right?
If he does have to move in Detroit, we do have a next move team out there that can take care of him.
And who is that?
Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now, and I feel bad. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I don't know either. So I was just that's what I was
we might need to edit. She is going to kill it. Kaylee.
Putting it out there.
Isn't it Kaylee?
I was thinking Minnesota, but that's all right. Anyway. I
know
we
have coverage out there.
We've got
out there. We're not going to let them know
be a surprise guest for next week after the Lions win.
We may have
who our network partner is out there. What's our next game?
The next game is going to be your Commanders flying out to Arizona to face the Cardinals. So you versus Serena. We do have an Arizona next move, and we know.
Yes, we got Serena. We got Mr. Alley and his wife that are a husband-wife team out there. Stetson's fantastic. We got to have Stetson on the show sometime as a former athlete.
I think we bring Stetson on the show for playoff baseball for a little segment on playoff baseball.
Oh, okay, all right. We'll see if we can get that one to happen. He's big enough to be a football player, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. So
tell me the lines, and I'll just tell you what's going to happen in this game.
Arizona is a 3-point favorite.
Yeah.
And the over/under, I believe, is the highest over/under is 50.5.
They're picking a shootout. I just want to, mark that moment in history that it's a 50 over and under. That's the highest in 2 weeks, by the way. We didn't even have a 50 last week. And that line came out after this past Monday night game and Jaden Daniels' performance, right? So 50 points. Woo, that's a lot. But I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that over. I'm on the Jaden Daniels train. And I think that we get it. Why I think that over works is because, as you saw with Joe Burrow, unfortunately, Washington does not have a secondary. I actually am going to look for my cleats and fly up to DC and see if I can get as a walk-on position, because it couldn't be much worse. There's literally Benjamin St. Juice is about the best that we got. Guy never gives up on a play. Similar to Will Levis, though, but in a different position. I love the heart. Unfortunately, the play's not up to where the heart is on that to make it happen consistently on each play. And of course, not even dressing Manuel Forbes, was our pick and our solution to all things cornerback and safety related, and not even taking the field. So we're going to give up some points. Before
you go with your prediction, I just had a light bulb go off. I need like a little ding, ding, ding. I would love to find even a college wide receiver. You could go against a college wide receiver and see if you could keep up. Because you just said you're flying up to DC to go walk on. I want to see it in action.
You want to see it in action, huh? You want to see me break out? Don't make me turn my hat around backwards for this one now. I just lost 10 years putting that hat on backwards. You put a helmet on me, I lose another 10. I'm basically back in college, and I'm ready to guard these guys. Hey, I got big shoulders. As long as I hit them hard coming off the line, I can cover them for a good 10, 20 feet. And we'll be ready to go. If there was one position that I should never try out for, it is anything beyond linebacker. Not big enough for the defensive line, not fast enough to be in a DB. You know what I could probably do? I probably could play middle linebacker and just hover and tell people what plays, that they should probably go do, as long as I don't have to.
What about long snapper or maybe kick holder?
I'm going to share a story real quick. All right. I know we're 40 minutes into this show. We've got a few things to wrap up.
One more game and we're good.
But you brought out a story, and we can't forget, we got to get to our real estate tip of the week too, of what our next move in real estate is going to be too. We can't leave without that.
Yep.
But I will share real quickly. Do you want to know the first position that I ever played in football?
Go for it.
Oh no, I mean I want you to guess actually.
Kicker. No, I thought maybe that's where we were going.
No. I often tell people my first girlfriend was Little Debbie. We got along real good after school every day,
Okay.
and I was on the chubby side growing up. And so when I was 9 years old and went out for tackle football, I had to play in the league with 12-year-olds to make the weight ratio correct. And I still played center at 9 years old with a bunch of 12-year-olds. So I was the long snapper and the regular snapper. Yeah. So I just little football history there for you.
And that's, you bring up a good point with the center position. The center position, when we were growing up, they were the biggest guys on the field.
Yeah.
It's not the case anymore. I mean, look at Jason Kelsey. You would never, if you met him on the, in the streets, you would never think he's an all-pro center. 10 years ago, it'd be a whole different story.
Yeah. Well, and you can't, if you're going to bring up offensive line and talking about, size and dominance, I have to talk about the Hogs, the original Hogs.
Yeah.
We used to think of Jeff Bostic was our center. He wasn't necessarily real big either, but 5'10", 5'11", and 250, that's
true.
That's a corner running back these days. And that used to be a starting offensive Super Bowl lineman, So, things have definitely changed in the offensive line and of course the defensive line monsters that are out there. We're talking 100 pounds difference in 20 years of linemen. It's insane. All right. What's that?
Prediction?
My prediction is going to be 35-28. Very similar to the Bengals. Washington, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Kyler
Murray's going to be a handful, but the Commanders get it done to go to a 3-1 start on the season. Still in first place.
All right. So I'm going completely opposite. I am ready to see the Commanders go down this week, and the Cardinals are going to beat them by 7, and it's going to be that's a lot of points. I'm going to go Cardinals under this week.
Okay.
I don't know if the Washington does 2 weeks in a row of the same performance. So I think it's going to be. I think we're going to get the old Washington of yesteryears, and it's going to be a stinker of a game for them. So I'm going Cardinals under.
Give me a score on this one? I just got it.
I'm going to go.
I need a score.
I'm going to go 32-24, or no, 32-17.
32-17. Okay. I'm just. Did you see Terry McLaurin catch that ball in the end zone in the perfect launch that was given?
Hey, I mean,
the escapability almost looked like a ballet being performed from when defenders were coming after Jaden Daniels.
Well, I need you guys to lose, so I got to go opposite.
All right. What do we got for the next one?
Last pick of the week is going to be Sunday 1:00 game for my Philadelphia Eagles traveling down to Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. Eagle, was there a horse just fly by? Or run by? Eagles are currently a 2.5-point favorite. Over under is 44.5. Actually went up 0.5 point this morning. So both teams 2-1. Eagles are going down to Tampa Bay, which they have great success. Some weeks and some years they can't win in Tampa Bay. So I think this is going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by either team. I think the Eagles pull it out, and I think it's going to be. I'm going. It's tough. If AJ Brown plays, it goes a different way. I don't think he's playing this week, though. I think he's still out another week. So I think it's going to be 28-24 Eagles.
28-24 Eagles. All right. I am predicting that this is the separator week. This is the week where the Washington Commanders take sole possession of first place in the NFC East. The Eagles are going down after a skin of their teeth victory over the Saints to play the Buccaneers, who I don't think the Eagles can handle the heat and humidity of Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay gets back home. I think Baker Mayfield looks fantastic, and Mike Evans shows everybody why he's a top 5 receiver. I think Todd Bowles has Jalen Hurts' number, just like the Eagles, not the Eagles, just like the Chiefs and the Bengals have their sort of bitter rivalry there, where they're always within a few points of, and then the Chiefs end up coming out on top. And I think the Bucks are the Eagles' Achilles heel. I think they're the ones that they've got their number. So I'm gonna go with the under as well. I don't think it's a real high scoring game. I think it's more like I'm gonna go with a 24-14 Buccaneers victory.
So I think I said under at first, but I think I just realized my score's over. So I'm going Eagles over.
Well, good. Then we're all the opposite. I love it. That makes it even more fun.
Apparently, not only are we great at making NFL picks, we're not too great at math either sometimes. Which is funny because that was actually my best subject when I was growing up. Maybe it's just
there you go. Well, hey, we can't get out of here without, talking about a real estate tip. So we talked about interest rates a little bit last week. That's fun.
Yep.
And our next move of the week, bum, 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 bum. There's our music. I created it myself just now. So, we were talking about upsets, upsides, and I wanted to talk about upside down home solutions, because that's usually not something you end up with in real estate too often. But a lot of folks bought high during COVID or just a year after, and now may need to make a move and have been waiting for, to sort of figure out, what do you do? Because you can't always move when you want to. I think there's a lot of sense out there that, I can wait for this to happen, that to happen. I'll test this, I'll test that. But the truth is, sometimes there's life changes. It could be personal, it could be business, it could be travel, it could be military. There can be a lot of different reasons for, why folks might need to move, and they may actually be upside down in their house by the time that they, go on to do that. And one of the first places that we see cut is, hey, I might try and sell it myself online. I'll save some money by not paying real estate commissions to the buyer agent, and I'll just pay my seller agent. And he'll put it on the MLS, and it'll sold, and I'll save a bunch of money. Can you talk real quick, Jim, about what are some of the they see hiring agents sometime as financial risks in order to try and squeeze that, lemon juice out of the lemon, so to speak, so that they're not, upside down. How as agents can we help actually get them more than what they would do if they try that process?
So it's funny you bring this up, because I actually just had this situation back in, I want to say May, June. I think we closed in June. Clients bought the house last year, did not buy it with me. I was not their agent. Their previous agent did not do them well, so they decided to reach out to some new agents to sell their home. It was a situation, a job transfer. They moved to Delaware here because they, got a job offer, and a job came up back home where they're from, where their families are from. And they're like, look, this is a situation that we, can't pass up. But we don't want to be, we don't want to be, we don't want to lose money on this house either. We don't want to have to come money. And they bought high, last August. So
Right.
I said, you know what? Let's sit down and talk. And they had talked about, possibly, selling it on their own. So that way they could take out a seller's commission. And I said, look, let's do this. Give me a 30-day, listing agreement, and let's talk. And I'm going to promote your house. I'm going to market it. I'm going to put it out there to the MLS. We're going to do videos. We're going to do everything. We ended up selling that house. Not only did they not lose money, they actually gained 60 grand in a year, less than a year after my commission. So
Wow.
what it was, and what we did is I created the hype. I created the buzz on this house. There was no private showings allowed. It was only we made a big deal out of only an open house. It attracted a lot of people. It was a great neighborhood. I promoted it outside because I knew people were coming in. And, when you're selling it by your own, for sale by owner, you don't have the marketing options that we do as real estate agents. And that's what's going to sell your home is the marketing. I see the photos, the videos, the network and all that stuff. So definitely use a real estate agent. You could actually gain money and not lose money. So
yeah, because our whole job is, if I ask you, what's more important, your price or your home, selling using an agent or not, or getting the most net. And I think 10 out of 10 people are going to say, as long as I get the most net, just tell me when. There's also a time factor. If you're one of these folks that has to sell and you need it to get sold quickly, are you going to put your own little ad on Facebook and hope for the best, or are you going to go to a professional and realize the value of getting you out of that home, because time is money as well. And people do have other choices. Yours is as special as you think your home may be. It's not the only home on the market. And if there's something 15, 20, 30 minutes, at least in most metropolitan areas, different than your house, they're going to look at some other choices. So it needs to have somebody who knows how to make that incentive to bring that and negotiate. And then also, this has probably been the biggest thing for me is, okay, so you get an offer to come in. Say you did sell on your own, you get an offer and you don't like the offer. Are you an expert at negotiating between back and forth what those needs are? Do you understand what a rate buy down is? Do you understand how that works with a lender? Do you understand how an FHA works as well, to go with that too, and what the timelines and guidelines are within all of that. So if you can answer all those things, then you should probably get your real estate license and contact me or Jim, and we'll
find you a
on our team. Right? Yeah. But otherwise, we can save you both time and money. And this is not a plug for agents, for us to say that. It basically is to show you that, where the place that you think you're going to save money, you may end up losing because you don't know how to negotiate and or advertise, and you're going to lose time and money, where we actually have the wherewithal to advertise your home to get it sold for more than what you think you might be able to in some cases, bring those multiple offers. And then even if they're not, be able to at least negotiate the best terms for you and make sure that you're covered.
Well, blush.
Excuse me.
Another great example. I'm on the flip side. I'm on the buyer side, and we did go see a for sale by owner house here in my area. And quite honestly, my client was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to go see this house because the pictures were absolutely atrocious.
Right.
They were cell phone pictures. They were dark. It made the house look terrible. We went into this house together, and we looked at each other like, are we at the same house? And we walked around, and my client, pulled me aside. He's like, Jim, like, I think this could be a deal. Like, we could get a deal here. And I said, honestly, if I was the real estate agent, I would sell it for more if I could.
Yeah.
So I said, let's jump on this. And sure enough, seller just wanted to sell, and we, the owner, and we're working a deal now with a for sale by owner. So, but if I was a real estate agent, I would be able to get him more than if he had worked with a real estate agent, he could be netting a lot
Yeah.
more. But hey, so is their own. But there's always opportunities if you're a buyer looking at it, but if you're a seller and you're sitting there and you're in this boat and you're a for sale by owner and you're like, why is my house not moving? There's a lot more to think. There's a lot more than just putting it on the MLS. People don't realize that we do.
Yeah, and I think another part of that solution, just to kind of wrap this up, is, you know, you if you're not a real estate agent or into the real estate market, you vetting that buyer out is a dangerous proposition, because
Oh,
if you're going
100%.
to take a contract and accept a contract and you're hoping that what they say is true or their lender says is true, you don't have somebody acting on your behalf.
Yep.
And so when Jim or I can go and go to that lender and go, hey, we need to really know what the deal is here, or to that other agent, hey, you're asking for this. Well, I tell you what, and I can't tell you how many times I've done that this year, where I've gotten an offer where somebody will go, well, it's an FHA loan, so it's going to need X, Y, and Z, but we
Yep.
also need a credit in order to not only buy down our rate, but also cover some of our closing costs. So I need 15 grand off the price. Well,
Yep.
good news, buyer and seller, actually, but we actually listed this competitively. So I have gotten the buyer to come up 10 grand on their price. We're
Yep.
still going to appraise because we started lower, and
Yep.
competitively. And now that 10 grand didn't have to come away from my seller. The buyer didn't really care where the 10 grand came from, because that 10 grand over a 30-year loan is nominal on the monthly payment. So they're cool with that. My seller only had to give up 5 in concessions instead of losing 15 off of an already competitive price, and everybody wins. And I think at the end of the day, that's the main thing, is not just can we make it win for you, but make it win for both sides. And to navigate there's not any errors throughout the whole thing. So really,
Yep.
the solution, if you think you're upside down, you may not be.
Yep.
Secondly, make sure that you've at least at a minimum had a consultation with a real estate agent that has experience in what a potential upside down situation may look like. And if you need somebody, we've got people all over the country. Yes, even in Detroit,
Yeah.
and we can help you out
You're gonna kill us, by the way.
to get you with somebody that'll help you out in that area of things. Well, we've had a lot of fun with a lot of predictions
Absolutely.
going into next week. We still went long, but that's okay, because we're not on TV, right? So we can have fun and do what we want to, give out some valuable information and all that good stuff. But before we run, Jim, can you just tell us real quick who won fantasy football matchup between you and I this past week?
Yeah. So before I get into that, make sure when you guys are watching this, you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're going to be sending it out there to the masses. If you're watching it right now, make sure to hit subscribe, because we want to be able to live stream this right onto the YouTube, to that way you can see it when we pop up right in your face, like, oh, Jim and Paul are online. Let's check it out. So we're going to be doing that. It's coming soon. We got a lot of new stuff. But Paul beat me this week.
You would be a great politician. You took that setup that I gave and just completely didn't answer the question and went to a completely different topic. But then, because you're a good friend, you did circle back to the loss. So I appreciate
and
it.
to be honest with you, I have a closed door meeting with my team tomorrow morning. I don't know how they went from the top scoring team week 1 to losing 2 weeks in a row. But I am going on the record that I am coming out of this week. I'll be 2-2, because I am going to take down Karen Best out there in Branson, Missouri, who is, I think, the number one shit talker in our fantasy football group. But her team is absolutely terrible right now. So I'm going to win this week.
Well, I say we have Karen on as our guest next week, regardless. of who wins that matchup.
All right.
My fantasy prediction is that I'm going to take down the undefeated Justin Penn. Maybe we'll have them both on. I don't know. Things might get crazy here going into episode 4, having
Shout out
fun with
to,
fantasy football. But, no matter where you're at or what you're doing, we do want to thank you guys for checking it out, having a little fun with us here on the REQBs, and we will see you next time. Adios.
Peace. Make sure you hit subscribe.
You can like it. You don't have to like Jim. You can like me, and you can like the page. Just don't like
it all. Let's do it.
Or
all.
just don't like the Cowboys. We're fine with it.
Yeah.